Hello? Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to the library on this September 20th, 2024, and Friday Night Ghost Stories. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a bunch of stuff to go over this evening, so let's get started. Let's get the show on the road. All right. Let's get rid of that and let's get the show going. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are having a wonderful September Friday. And thank you for joining me in the library for a show that's kind of all over the place. Usually, I try to keep it on one topic from ghosts coming from one particular place. But today, I ran across some stuff about celebrities or famous people that had encounters, and I wanted to bring that into this. And then towards the end, we'll get back into some Alabama ghost stories. And then I'll wrap it up with some paranormal videos, of course, which seem to be a hit lately. Folks like to see them. And as you can see, Lenny, my friend, is all decked out for celebrities. He heard that I was going to talk about celebrity ghost stories. So he got out his movie star glasses and figured he'd put them on. Right, Lenny? And of course, Victor is here. Loyal Victor is here, of course, as always. So let's get started. Let's light our ceremonial candles so then we can douse the lights in here a little bit. Get the right atmosphere. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to start saying hello to the folks in the chat because I do appreciate you guys being here. Hello, Gerard. Good to see you. BK Skip, I see, is here. Delilah is here. Tony the Night Owl is right on time. I saw Stiggs was in here before. I saw Baywatcher stopped in. Patrick is here. I saw someone else too. Who else did I see here? Chris Trock in the house. Good to see you. Paul C. Good to see you. Bobo, I'll get to your comment there about no, or was it Baywatch? Somebody made a comment about planes, which I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't get to really read it, but something about planes. I miss anybody? Latin Butterfly, good to see you, my friend. Say hello to Delilah. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much for joining, as always. Now let's get this started. Baywatch. I think it was, yeah, it must have been Baywatcher. Yes, he's the one that said about the plane. So we'll look into that later, a little later on. But right now we're going to get started with our tales of. Hey, Cinnamon. CG2 is here. Wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining. Let's get started with our tales or our list of celebrities that have had paranormal encounters. What is going on here? We didn't have this one out. We can't have that. There we go. We don't need these too close to me either. There we go. That's much better. There we go. All right. So now, if you look into celebrity ghost encounters, there was actually, or ghost stories or whatever, it was an actual TV show, and it may still be around for all I know. But so there's a whole host of information out there, and just about, from what I've seen, just about every celebrity, I mean, has had some type of encounter with a spirit or a paranormal activity of some type. So I thought I'd narrow it down to the ones that I thought were a little bit more interesting, and then we can go from there. And if need be, I can always do another show where I picked up and where I left off and talked about more celebrities. But let's just talk about the few that I found that I thought were kind of interesting. So, this one is in Lenny's face. We don't need Lenny's face obscured. Lenny is a star. We don't want to obscure his face. There we go. All right. Let's start off with Cher. We all know Cher, very famous person, celebrity, entertainer, actor, actress, singer, etc., the whole 9 yards. Well, Cher outright swears that her home is haunted by the spirit of her late ex-husband, Sonny Bono, which I thought was very interesting considering they divorced so many years ago. He died in 1998. But she says that he visits her periodically. And in fact, what he will do is he will turn the chandelier on and off at random times. And in fact, she said that the chandelier has gone on when the power was out. So she knows for a fact that it was some type of paranormal activity that causes the chandelier to light up. But she swears that it's her husband, Sonny. And how would she, come to that conclusion? It could be just supposition. But she also said that when these things happen, she gets this feeling, and the songs that she recorded with her husband play in her head. So she knows that there's a link there between with this ghostly activity and Sonny. So an interesting little tale there, harkening back to the 70s, the early 70s. I think they got divorced in like the mid 70s or late 70s, something like that. But there was such a connection there, according to Cher, that he still comes back to visit her in the afterlife. So interesting little tale from Cher. Now, Jennifer Aniston, we all know her from Friends and various movies, tons of movies. She swears that when she first moved to Los Angeles, her first house that she rented with a friend, she had a roommate, was haunted. And this ghost absolutely hated her roommate and would torture her in terms of all the activity. And as a result, Jennifer herself couldn't stand it and had to move out. She said the activity was so intense that it was a real disruption, that the dishwasher would go on by itself and shut off by itself, that the coffee maker would start making coffee in the middle of the night, and the smell would wake people up. So a lot of activity in this particular home. And she says that the ghost did not like her roommate. So who knows why that is? I don't know who her roommate was. I don't think she was anyone famous, but she swears that she had this ghostly encounter in her first home when she moved to Los Angeles. All right, so there you have it. Cher and Jennifer Aniston. Now, let's move on to Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, so many movies. Again, another famous big-time actor. Has a tale from when he was 7 years old, and he had just moved to the States from Australia. His family had moved to the States from Australia. and they lived in New York City. And as a result, they, lived in an apartment. But and this apartment, his parents were very busy, and they had a babysitter for him that would spend a lot of time with her. And he said that one time when he was 7 years old, he was at home late on an evening when his parents had gone out, and it was him and the babysitter. Renata was her name. And out of the blue, he sees coming up the stairs and into the room where he was a double-breasted suit with no one in it. No head, no arms, no legs, just a double-breasted suit coming up the stairs and coming into the room and then disappear in front of his very eyes. So the material form of a suit that just vanishes once it got close to him. And he swears that his nanny, whatever you want to call her, babysitter, nanny, encountered it as well. And they just kind of looked at each other and didn't speak of it. So an interesting encounter from that Keanu Reeves had at the age of 7 years old in New York City in an apartment building, a high-rise apartment building. All right. So Matthew McConaughey, another famous actor. We know him, a lot of movies. He swears that his L.A. home was haunted by someone by the name of Madame Blue. Madame Blue. And that she was kind of like an old-time performer from the 20s that haunted this house, which he had in Los Angeles. That Madame Blue did not like visitors or guests, and that she would harass them when he had guests. She would cause a stir when he had guests over. And he claims that it got to the point where he confronted the ghost and told her, "Look, I'm not going to take this anymore. You could do what you want. I don't care." He opened the door and said, "If you don't like it, you can get out." So supposedly this in standing up and asserting himself caused Madame Blue to take a hike and kind of vanished and never came back again. So a little interesting tale there from Matthew McConaughey. And a lot of these old Los Angeles mansions seem to have ghostly activity because of the people that used to live there. A lot of famous rich people had a lot of parties, a lot of activity there that happened in the 20s, etc. Hello, M. Pow. Hello, Osada. Hello, Gianni. Good to see you. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining. All right, now let's go on to Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage said that he at one point had bought a murder mansion, a mansion where murder had taken place in, and it was owned by Madame Delphine Lalaurie, and that this woman she was the murderer, I guess, that owned this house. She would haunt it from time to time. He ended up selling the place because it got so annoying that he couldn't deal with it anymore. And it was in the South someplace. It was, I think it was New Orleans, is where he purchased that mansion where there had been a murder in the late 1800s. All right, Sting. We all know Sting, the Police, famous recording artist, even an actor at times. He claims that his London home is haunted by the spirit of a woman and a child. And what would happen is he would go to bed at night and he'd wake up and find things rearranged in the kitchen. Everything moved around. At times, the furniture would change places. He would have overnight, the furniture would be in a different location from which before he went to bed. And even bottles would be smashed and plates would be smashed. So a lot of poltergeist type of activity that Sting encountered in his London home. And he has since vacated that and moved on to other premises, and that being one of the reasons why, because of that. So interesting little encounter by Sting. Let me see. Who else is here? Did someone else come in? I'm sorry. Paul. I think I said hello to Paul. Yes. Cinnamon Girl said hello to you. Baywatcher is back. Good to see you. Don McHugh. Good to see Don McHugh. The late Joan Rivers, also famous person, claimed that she was her New York apartment was haunted by the spirit of someone called Mrs. Spencer, who had lived there in the past and died there, and that her dog would not enter the room, would not enter the apartment at times because Mrs. Spencer was there, and this ghost was so known to everyone in the building that even the doorman would say, "Ah, Mrs. Spencer's back," when this type of activity would happen. So whether it's an LA Hollywood mansion or it's a New York upscale apartment, they seem to retain the spirits of those that lived there in the past. And then finally, Dan Aykroyd, Mr. Ghost Hunter himself, said that he has had encounters many times with spirits in his home, and that he would see things moving around right before his very eyes on the counter. Things would move around on the kitchen counter. That doors would open and close by themselves, and that someone even touched him. You know, he would get touched. And he tells of one time where he went to bed early and his wife was not at home, and that he felt someone getting into bed with him, and he thought that his wife had a change of plans and came home early, but when he turned around there was no one there, and he jumped up out of shock, and then when he looked at the bed there was the impression that like, as if a body was sleeping in the bed. So a creepy encounter to happen in your home at night, when you're alone at home and fall asleep and wake up to encounter something like that. So Dan Aykroyd. So yeah, there's your list of kind of A rate, or what do they call it? A list superstars or celebrities that have encountered ghosts and spoke about it. Excuse me. And of course, you can always go to my wall, go to my community page, and look at a link to the Telly Savalas story, which is a really creepy story that he tells himself on one of these shows about the ghostly encounter he had. So, interesting stuff. At least I think it is. So, there's your celebrities that have paranormal experiences. All right, Shannon, how are you, Shannon? Good to see you. I hope I haven't missed anyone. Cheech in the house. How are you, my friend? Todd Father, good for you stopping in. I appreciate it. Crewmel, good to see you. Whole bunch of folks coming in today. Excellent. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Slimity Cricket, how are you, my friend? Slimity will be going on after at 10 o'clock, so I will advise everyone to please tune in to him after the show. I always enjoy Slim doing his shows on a Friday night when he narrows in on a certain type of music. So fun stuff. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to our Alabama stories. Now, Alabama being in the South, the deep South, is bound to have old time legends and ghostly tales. No question about it. There are actually ghost tales in every single town in Alabama, according to my research, and that each town has its own. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of ghostly legends in the state of Alabama. But I picked out a few to talk about tonight, which I thought you would think are interesting. So let's start with the Consolation Church and Cemetery in Greenville, Alabama. Now, let me see if I can pull up a picture so you see what I'm talking about here. Now, this church and area goes back to the late 1800s or mid 1800s. No, it goes farther than that because there are Civil War people buried in this church. So it's probably the mid 1800s. So let's see. Let's see if we can pull this up and show you a little bit of what I have here. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. There we go. All right. This is the Consolation Church in Greenville, Alabama. Now you can see it's a very modest, unassuming church. But people say that this church and the grounds around it, including the cemetery, are haunted by an array of different creatures and spirits and paranormal activity. So that's what it looks like. Let me let me show you what it looks like inside the church, which is also very unassuming and humble. As you can see, it's all wood, very, very basic. No drapings, nothing's decorated. Just your hardcore evangelistic type of congregation where they stay away from anything but just preaching the word, and that's it. So this is it, a very, very basic place. Now let me see if I can show you what the cemetery, the grounds look like on the cemetery itself, because some of the activity occurs outside. So let's see what we got here. If I can pull it up. I don't know if I can. Here we go. I think this is, there we go. As you can see, it has that southern feel to it with the willow trees, and you can see the tombstones spread about through the graveyard area here. So typical, what you would think of as an old southern type of creepy old cemetery. All right, so what goes on in the Consolation Church and the cemetery in Greensville, Alabama? Well, the first thing we talk about is wailing banshees. And if anyone knows what that is, banshees are spirits of women that cry out, and they come from the English and the Irish history, Irish, Scottish, English lore. That's where they come from. Now, these, where this said there's a banshee here that lives in this church or lives around this church. In fact, that it will cry out in Gaelic, which is very interesting to me in Alabama that something like that would take root there. But in Gaelic, she'll call out, and you'll be able to hear her voice coming through or from the walls. And now, as I showed you in that picture, it's a very unassuming, very basic church. Where is this sound coming from? It's basically just planks of wood. That's it. But supposedly the sound comes from the walls. And if you hear this wailing sound of this banshee crying out, it's a warning that someone is going to die in either in the congregation or in the area. So it's a creepy type of thing. This wailing banshee that comes from the walls of this church, the Consolation Church. Now, the atmosphere outside the church, the cemetery itself is right there, and it's said that the cemetery is patrolled by hellhounds, basically two dogs with glowing red eyes and vicious teeth that will appear at different times if a trespasser comes on to the grounds, and will go nuts and scare people off. And I don't know, hellhounds, common type of legend around cemeteries, around burial grounds, etc. But glowing red eyes and foaming at the mouth, type of real scary encounter that you might see in, and then they vanish. So it's not like they're a physical creature. They materialize and then vanish afterwards. So that's what you have. You have your banshee crying out. You have your hellhounds there. And then you also have apparitions of Confederate soldiers that will march. And it is said that you'll actually hear the marching sound of these Confederate soldiers who are buried in that church, in that cemetery, that they'll muster up and start marching as one from the various graves, which should be one hell of a sight to see. But that's what they're saying happens in this particular graveyard. And then there's also talk of children, ghostly children that hang out here. A little girl that will be skipping along in front of the church and then will vanish suddenly. There's a little boy that's playing with a ball, and also you would hear him laughing. He's always laughing. You could hear him laughing over the winds. And then there's also the tale of a ghostly rider in a 1964 black Ford pickup that will show up if you bring your car into this area. That he will materialize, this truck, this ghostly truck, and will chase you. Will chase you out of there. And it's said that if he ever catches you, if this truck ever catches you and makes contact with you, you will end up in an accident. You'll end up dying. So a little scary stuff there in terms of this ghostly rider that comes out of nowhere in a 1964 black Ford pickup truck. So interesting stuff concerning the Consolation Church and Cemetery of Greenville, Alabama. All right. So let's move on to our next story. Our next story deals with Mary Daniel Bridge. And this one is in Highland, or it's two areas, and like this area has two names. Highland Home is the nearest town to this area, and I think it's called something else. Oh boy, what is it called? Anyway, let me see if I can pull it up. So I need to show you this anyway. I want to show you what it looks like before I tell you the tale. All right. Saraland, Alabama. There you go. Now, this bridge here is said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman by the name of Mary Daniel. Now, the name Mary Daniel is directly linked to an actual historical figure. It's not just a complete legend that was made up. The Daniel family was a well-to-do, or I guess, I don't know if they were well-to-do, but they were one of the founding families in the area. In fact, they have their own cemetery where Mary is buried in. And the road is called Mary Daniel Road that leads up to that bridge. So she was a real figure in the 1800s. And the story goes that she was crossing that particular bridge on a carriage with her child. The horses bucked. The carriage spilled over. The baby went over the side, fell into the water, and drowned. And she went after the baby, couldn't find the baby anywhere. Eventually finds it drowned, unfortunately, and then takes the baby and buries it in in an area not far from the bridge. And then she heads home, distraught, destroyed, soaking wet, the worst night of her life. She comes out. Oh, Paul, thank you. Really appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Anyway, so thank you, Paul. So the bridge says that this bridge is haunted. Now, it's a little bit creepier story than just that, because you have the baby that she's crying because she lost. But it's said that when this tragedy happens, she goes back to her house, to her husband, and her husband is destroyed by the loss of his daughter, just completely destroyed. And he hits the bottle immediately and starts drinking and drinking and drinking himself into a crazy stupor, and gets so angry that he blames Mary for the loss of their daughter. And he drags her back to the bridge, and hangs her off the side. And at that point, her neck breaks. She dies right there. And he commits suicide and throws himself over the side, having done what he did. Not worth living life without them. He jumps off and kills himself. So you have 3 deaths that occur in this particular bridge area. So what is the ghostly activity? The ghostly activity is the crying and wailing of Mary herself. That you will hear her around this area crying and wailing. And there will also be like a bright light or bright lights that will appear on the bridge. There will be three of them, one representing each one of the spirits: the baby, the mother, and the father. And it'll be the lights will be dancing on the bridge at night, and you could see them come out of the blue and then vanish just as quickly as they arrived. So a creepy and really tragic type of tale around this. So that's the one. So the other part of this story, because a lot of these stories have different versions, and it's hard to say which is the most authentic or which is the most popular. The other version around Mary Daniel is that she was a witch, and that she did have this baby out of wedlock, and so she wasn't married in this version. The baby, same tragedy happens. The baby crashes off the bridge, dies. She takes the baby, buries the baby, and but puts a curse on the or a spell, puts a spell on the baby's grave and that whole cemetery where she buried him, in a local cemetery there. Put a curse on it with her witchcraft, that if anyone were to desecrate that, or desecrate her grave ultimately, or her baby's grave, that these spirits, these demonic spirits called watchers, would arise and attach themselves to the person that's desecrating the grave, and will follow them and torture them for the rest of their life. So not something that I'd try to do or even explore, because who knows what that's all about. But I wouldn't want some type of demon spirit carrying with me as I left the place. But that's what the story is, that she put this spell on it to have these watchers there that will protect her baby's grave and her grave from anyone that were to desecrate it, put the graffiti on it, damage it, what have you. But anyway, the exact location of this is not known. It's in the woods someplace, not far from the bridge. She is not buried in the family plot, so who knows where she is. Some say she was buried there with her child, that she wanted herself to be buried with her child. So Mary Daniels Bridge in Alabama. Interesting and creepy backstory to that whole thing. All right. So you have Consolation Church and Cemetery in Greenville. We have Mary Daniel Bridge in Highland Home, Alabama. And now our final one is Jack Cole Road in Hydrant, Alabama. Now, we've had stories before about roads. We had one in New Jersey. There were roads that get haunted, the entire road. It's such an interesting concept that it's that the area in question is just so evil or so bad that it accumulates all of this spiritual and negative activity. Well, Alabama is no excuse. They have their own. So this Jack Cole Road is one of their most haunted areas in the state. And it's said that 68 people have died on this road over the years since 1890, when it was built. Now, this is not a road that you would think of. It's not even paved. It's a road that is still a dirt road to this day. And I tried to get a picture of it here so that I could show you. And I think I got one. So here goes. This is what Jack Cole Road in Hydrant, Alabama looks like. Very desolate, very remote type of area. Oh, Paul, not necessary, my friend. Thank you so much. Not necessary. I really appreciate it. It was not an insult at all. Not at all. But thank you so much. All right. This is what it looks like. This is the desolate, creepy, forested road that is Jack Cole Road. And like I said, 68 people have died on this road since 1890. a very high toll considering. And what goes on this road? What are some of the things that happen? Now, first of all, 60 people, 60 out of the 68 died from a cholera epidemic around the turn of the century, around 1900. So an outbreak happens, 68 people perish. And it is said that on this road someplace, there was a hospital that was created specifically for the cholera outbreak, where all these people were kept in hopes to help or at least contain the disease. Now, this is interesting. The hospital itself, people say the hospital, which is no longer there, the hospital itself will appear. Like you will see the actual hospital and then it will vanish. So it's kind of like a transporting structure. It'll come out of nowhere, appear, and then vanish. Very, very interesting concept. Now, on this road, there was also off of this road, there was also a cabin where in that cabin was found the mummified remains of an old woman who was said to be a witch. And people say that you can still hear her cries at night if you're in the vicinity of where the cabin was. The cabin has since been burnt down, so it's not there anymore. And you see that time and time again. These creepy areas tend to get burnt down. Structures, what that is at least, will get burnt down because of all the attraction there is for it, where people come and want to see what's going on. And then you have vandals and you have accidents that happen, and these places end up getting burnt down. And this was no exception. This cabin where the witch lived is gone, burnt to the ground. Bye-bye. But you can still hear her crying out for help, saying that when she was dying, she was crying out over and over again for help. And then nobody heard her or nobody came to her. Maybe they heard her and never came to her. But that continues to happen on a routine basis in the area. There's an odd set of lights that's said to have hovered over this road. Now, as you can see here, there is obviously no electricity. There's no road. There's no road lights. There's no street lights here. But people say if you're driving along this road at night, you will see lights at various parts of this road. So quite an interesting concept. Where is that coming from? If that's not supernatural, where is it coming from? Now, people say there are ghostly figures that dart in and out of the trees. As you're driving by, you may see this out of the corner of your eyes. Ghostly figures dart shooting back and forth between the various trees. And this is a pretty thick southern forest. So very likely that this could be going on. There is also talk of a half-wolf creature that roams the area, and also Bigfoot. People have sighted Bigfoot in this area. On this road, of those remaining 7 people, or remaining 8 people, there was the 60 that died for the cholera. Of those 8, they all died in suspicious circumstances. There was an artist that hung himself in this forest. No one knows why. There was a fruit grower that had a farm off of the road, towards the end of the road. If you take the road all the way down towards the end, there was a patch of land that was a fruit farm, and the fruit grower was murdered in 1960 with an axe, and they found his body all chopped up. No one has ever been charged. No one has ever been found who caused this. There was a photographer in 2003 who also suddenly died on this road, inexplicably, no reason behind it. People say if you're in this area, the one thing that you will always encounter is that you will have a feeling of being watched, that eyes are on you and watching you. So could be various things causing that, but for the most part, in a road like this where you're by yourself, who knows? And then as recent as 2015, there was a woman that lived on this road. Now, believe it or not, there are houses at different sporadically along this road, even though it's not paved. There was a disabled woman, an older disabled woman that lived alone in this house. And in 2015, her house caught fire. And by the time the authorities got there, the house had burned to the ground. There had been timbers and ash and everything, which unfortunate happens, right? Not necessarily ghostly or paranormal activity, but the strange thing is that the woman herself was nowhere to be found. They found the remains of several dogs that were her pets that unfortunately perished in the fire, but nothing in the fire or in the ashes that would lead to be a human's remain. So she completely vanished into thin air. And the creepiest part about this is that she was completely immobile. She was in a wheelchair. She couldn't go anywhere by herself. She couldn't even, her son said that he didn't think she could even get out of the house without help. Well, she is completely gone and has been missing ever since 2015. So, really, really bizarre type of things happen on Jack Cole Road in Hayden, Alabama. All right, so there you have it. Those are your Alabama ghost stories. 3 of them: the Consolation Church and Cemetery, the Jack Cole Road, and then the Mary Daniel Bridge. So 3 creepy stories that took place in Alabama, and to this day are said to happen from time to time. People encounter them from time to time. All right. So there are your stories. So thank you guys for listening to them. We're going to move on to our paranormal videos. I want to see what you guys have to say about these. Before I do that, I just want to check and make sure there's no one else that came in that I need to say hello to. Yeah, Gerard, a way to take care of your mom. Thank you, Top Father. I appreciate it. Let's see. Anyone else here that I hope I did not miss. I hope I didn't miss anyone. I think I got everybody here. I think I called out everyone. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. All right. Chris Trock. Yep. All right. Now let's talk about some paranormal videos. I want to see what you think about these. All right. Let me get rid of this. All righty then. Now, let's go. Now, these kind of have a theme. At least 3 of them have a theme. They're all related to cats. So, those of you who have and like cats, I'd like your opinion. Those of you who don't like cats, I'd like your opinions too, or don't have cats, I'd like your opinion too. But it's just interesting. They just happen to be, the ones that I picked out happen to be all related to a cat in some way. So, except for the last one I showed. The last one's not related to a cat at all. But let's start off with these, and I want to hear what you got to say about this. All right. Let's start off with this guy. All right. This is a cat, as you can see, right? Now, I want you to watch this cat and watch its reaction, and you tell me what you think. This is just someone who filmed their cat in their yard, out off of their back porch. The cat was outside, heard the cat making noise, went outside, took out their phone, and started filming what she was doing. So here we go. Let's play that again. So what do you think? What do you think about this? Hi, Gina. Thank you for joining. This cat is encountering something. There is something there. There is certainly something there that's causing the cat to react this way. And I've never owned a cat, so I don't know this per se how they would normally react, but this would strike me as kind of strange that a cat would be behaving like this. Looks like it's defending itself against something. So there you have it. I don't know. You got me. Stig says it's daydreaming. I don't know. It looked awake to me. Let's lose that one. Let's lose that one. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just very weird that, something like that, if I witnessed that, that would creep me out. I would be like really upset that that's going on around me. I don't know what that is. Todd Father says cats are weirdos. Okay. Yeah, right, Delilah. Either defending itself or being pulled by something, right? Right. To Latin Butterfly owned a cat and we lived in North Carolina. A lady died close to when I used to live. I'm sorry. Wait, I just lost that. I'm reading Delilah's. Latin Butterflies. The cat knew that she was in our apartment. It's crazy. Wow. So you've encountered cats having some type of link to these spiritual activities. Interesting. No, I didn't have a title. No, no. I titled the video when I downloaded it to like cat freaking out because that's what it looks like to me. All right, so that's your first cat video there. All right, let's go on to the next one, if I may. Now this one, it's taken outside at night while the cat is roaming around its master's yard. And this is in a backyard camera that picked this up. So let's see this. All right, here we go. All right, so here it is. This is the backyard, right? This is, or the side yard, I guess, because the street must be up here somewhere. This is the back door over here. And you're going to see the cat come from the street area or whatever this is, walkway over here. I don't know if that's a sidewalk. I don't know. I really can't tell what it is. Oh wait, those are stairs there. So this is the front, either the front or the back of the house here, right? So because there's stairway and an entrance. You're going to see the cat come around here, and when he gets over here, he's going to encounter something. So pay attention to what's happening in this area right here. All right, here we go. Here comes the cat. He walks around, and look at this right here. Look at what happens here. What is going on right here? Now, interesting, the cat doesn't freak out. The cat doesn't look upset or scared. He just turns around and walks away. As you can see, there you go. There's something there. It looks like about the size. It looks like it's bigger than a human. I don't know. It depends on the size of the cat, I guess. But it looks like it might be taller than an average person. That aberration that's there. Apparition that's there. Yeah, yeah, Delilah. But I mean, like, it's not like he runs or freaks out. He just kind of says, "Oh, I'm not going there. I'm not dealing with that." Just turns around and walks away. Here it comes again. Right, walking around, you see his eyes shine in the night. There, he turns around. He's like, "What in the name of is going on here?" And it's about this size. So I guess this is the doorway, right? So it's a human size. It's a human height right here. And then the cat says, "Adios, my friend. I'm out of here." So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know how that would be a reflection. I don't know. I don't know if this is just a trail camera or like a surveillance camera in the backyard or side yard. I don't know what would be reflecting like that suddenly out of the blue that interacts with the cat to some degree. Like the cat stops and thinks better of it. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to you on that one to tell you. I don't even know what I think about this one. All right, let's stop sharing that. All right, now this one is all right. You got this one's creepy. You gotta watch this one, and I'll set it up for you. I'll tell you the background of what's going on here. Now, this is a woman who has a baby cam in her daughter's bedroom, night monitor camera. And the story behind this is that she's watching this. She happened to be watching this at the time. It wasn't just a recording that she went back and discovered. She was watching this real time as it happened. So here it goes. All right, there's her daughter. The daughter's just kind of hanging out there. She's awake, as you can see. There's a reflection of her eyes, so she's definitely awake. She's not sleeping. She's lying in the bed, chilling out. Now watch what happens. The door behind her. Now watch what happens at the door. Watch what happens over here. Now that ghostly cat comes through the door and walks this way. Now the door opens and the mother comes in. You see her feet here, right? She comes in and asks, "Is there a cat in here?" Because she was watching the move. She was watching the video, and the daughter says no. So the mother says, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then she says, "Are you okay?" And the baby says, "I scary, I scary." And she says there's a monster in her, pillow or whatever she says. Window, I'm sorry, window. So, then that's typical with children. But look at this. That is a cat. That is the image of a freaking cat. This freaks. Look at that. You could see the ears and the eyes. Yes, Tony, you told that story. That's right. You did. You told that story. You told that story on on this show. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, Tony the Night Owl in a previous show told this story about the cat, the spirit cat that was walking through the yard. Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember that. So let's play it again just for so make sure everybody sees it. So the spirit cat comes through the door and walks past the crib right there. And the mother sees this to the point that she thinks that it's a real cat, like there's a live cat. So she comes into the room. The door opens. She comes into the room and asks, "Is there a cat in here with you?" So I mean, like this is pretty believable to me. I find this one believable. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Gerard, I would have brought the kid out too. I mean, if that happened to my child, I would not leave the kid in that room. I mean, that's bizarre. Yeah, so the mother, Johnny, the mother saw it walk through the shut door on the other. Yes, so the mother was watching the camera, happened to be watching the monitor. She had put her to bed. She had been watching the monitor, and she saw this. She saw the cat come through. So she goes into the room to question her on it. So that's creepy. That's really creepy. I don't know. I can't debunk that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you can analyze this to try to figure it out in terms of a technological angle, if it was doctored or anything like that. But if it's not doctored, if it's not, a double, I don't know, like a double exposure type of thing or something. I don't know what that is. That's got to be real. So anyway, that's the ghost, the ghost that visits the toddler. I call that one the cat and the toddler. All right. So those are my cat videos, 3 cat videos. Now, this last one that I have here for you is nothing to do with cats, but I'll give you the background to this as well. All right. So this guy is a YouTuber. He's like a musician, he's a performer, stuff like that. He has a channel. And if you look at his channel, it has nothing to do with paranormal, nothing whatsoever. He's a music guy. He just, shares music, etc. Now, he was in this music school trying to take a selfie of himself, like take a selfie movie of himself to use on his channel. Now, watch what happens in the background. Watch the stairs and this entranceway here as I play this, and tell me what you think. And you could see the image of a woman coming down the stairs. Here's hard to see, but then over here it really materializes. There you go, and walks into this hallway over here. Now, this guy claims, this is just something he saw when he was going back over his material to make the movie, to put together the movie, but to get the film or the video that he was going to put on his channel of him being in the music school where he grew up, and he was visiting it, and he wanted to do a video from that location, and this happened. So I don't know. As you can see, there you really don't see much here until then. Here, it suddenly materialized. There you go. It comes like right here is where it materializes, and then it vanishes into the side of the doorway. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't, I don't know. Very rarely do you see a video like that where you actually see like a body or like features type of thing. So it's definitely a woman in a dress. So I don't know. Oh yeah, you could definitely see clothing there, Patrick. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's no question about it. You can see clothing. I just don't know how one would debunk this if it's not legitimate. I don't know how that would be. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. Looks like there's something there, and then there you see it. You see the head distinctly. You see the dress. You see the shoulders and the arm. So it's a pretty darn clear, and you even see like the leg, like the bare leg of under a dress coming, as they're. So it's pretty convincing. It's a pretty convincing shot. And the fact that it came from this guy that has nothing to do with paranormal activity and just happened to come across this while he was at the music school. So, Yeah, Tony, the ones at Gettysburg. Yeah, those were clearly people. Those were clearly images of people crossing that road. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. The librarian from Ghost Hunters. Yeah, Patrick, you're right. It does kind of look like that. It does remind me of that. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. So there you have it. Those are your paranormal videos. You decide what they are. I think that one was pretty unsolvable, and I thought the cat one with the baby or the toddler and was pretty creepy to me. That was really creepy. That one that one bothered me. So so Paul is what from the Civil War? The the Gettysburg video I played, I don't know if it was the last show or the show before. Those were Civil War soldiers or the spirits of Civil War soldiers at Gettysburg, at the Gettysburg battlefield that were crossing a road. Somebody was filming and you could see them actually crossing the road. So um, that was from the Civil War, or at least, the spirits would be from the Civil War because um, that was a Civil War battle. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Gettysburg was probably one of the biggest battles of the Civil War. So, yeah, so and you could clearly see them. You could clearly see that there were soldiers walking across. So, uh, can't decide Patrick says, can't decide what's creepier, experiencing something or seeing it in a pic you took later. I don't know. That's a good question, Patrick. It's probably the picture, if you ask me, because the picture is there. The picture, you're stuck with the picture. It's always there. If you experience something, it's gone in an instant, right? And you either remember it or some memory of it will vanish after a while. The picture is there. So this is evidence that's with you. That's very haunting, if you ask me. So taking that picture and having it there, it seems really creepy to me. I think it's much more creepier than the actual experience. And it's also like a surprise because you think this was going on and I didn't even know it at the time. If it shows up in the camera, it shows up on the film and you didn't know about it or experiencing it when it happened, to me, that's even creepier because this was going on and I didn't know anything about it, but it was happening. So really creepy. Oh, yeah, no problem, Gina. Thank you. Anytime. So Baywatch, asks, do you think forest fires force apparitions to relocate? I've never thought about that. I don't know. I guess the theory could be that the forest fire, it decimates the environment, and that environment was necessary for them to manifest. The trees, the way everything lays out, like that was all necessary for the spirit to manifest there. And when those elements change, it can't manifest. I don't know. That could be a theory around that, and so they leave. Um, but then you have, but then you have situations where, like the story I just told about the witch, where her place burnt down, and she still haunts the area. There's nothing there now. That burnt down to the ground, and her spirit still haunts that area. So I don't know. I don't know. Paul said, for future, if find any vids, will. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if anyone finds any vids, any videos or anything, please, reach out, email me. Absolutely, please do that. Either leave a comment after the show in the comments, or send me my emails in the profile. It's the Wine Guild at Gmail, the Wine Guild at Gmail. So email me. Let me know. I mean, that's how I got Gerard Serratelli. He sent me the picture that was on his trail cam that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, anybody, please, if you have anything you want me to look at or show on the show, absolutely just reach out. Oh, thank you, Tony and Paul. Thank you. I really appreciate those compliments. Thank you all for being a part of this. It's without you guys, it's nothing. It's just me talking to the wind. I don't want to talk in an echo chamber. I want to talk to people. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, that's, I think, a wrap for tonight. And if you're not doing anything, please, check in with Slim. Sliminy Cricket is on. If he's not on now, he will be on in a few minutes. And hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. Let's get the like numbers up. Leave a comment after the show, stuff like that, cool stuff like that. So we get this going. Get YouTube. We can get into an algorithm here or something. But anyway, that's our show for this evening, this week. As for on behalf of Victor and Lenny, we want to say thank you. And we'll blow out our candles, as always. And say, stay scared. And thank you for joining. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Love you all.